Right, in math yesterday, we learned how to take the sum of a fraction. So what we're doing is taking it piece by piece at a time and adding it together. So as we learned in days before, a unit fraction is any individual piece. So right here is a unit fraction. This is one piece out of the 5, so 1/5. This is another piece out of the whole 5, so 1/5, and so forth. 1/5, 1/5, 1/5. And so if we take all the unit fractions and add them up, we would get 5/5. Because each individual fraction is 1/5, so if we add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unit fractions, and because each one is one individual piece, then we get 5 individual pieces, and of course it's 5 pieces total, so the denominator always stays the same. And over here it asks us to shade 2 parts of this fraction bar, and it's still in 5 pieces, so we shaded 1 2-piece, so 1/5, which goes here, and another 5th goes here, and when we add them together, 1 plus 1 is 2, and then the denominator stays the same. So 5ths, because we have 2 pieces shaded, 1 plus 1 is 2, and we still have 5 total pieces, which is what the denominator is. So we go to the next one, number 10, and right here we have 3 equal parts. So that means each one of those pieces is a unit fraction. So we have 1 unit fraction out of 3 parts. Right here we have 1 unit fraction out of 3 parts. And under here again we have 1 unit fraction out of 3 parts. And if we add those together, we get 3 unit fractions out of 3 parts. And here it's asking us to shade 2 parts. So we're going to shade 2 pieces of this fraction bar. And now we say, well, here is a unit fraction that's shaded, so that's 1/3. Here is a unit fraction that's shaded, so that's another 1/3. And this is not shaded. So of shaded area, we have 1 unit fraction and two unit fractions, so 2 pieces that are shaded. So we're going to add those together, and we add the numerators. 1 plus 1 is 2, and no matter what we add, we still only have 3 pieces. 1, 2, 3 pieces, so that stays the same. So overall we have 2 out of 3, or 2/3. And I'll do the next one. I won't do the unit fraction one, but if we look here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 equal parts. So that means that each unit fraction is 1/7. Each one of these little pieces is 1/7, and that's a unit fraction. And if we take them all and add them up, how many unit fractions do we have? We would have 7 unit fractions out of 7 pieces, so 7/7. And again, this down here is asking us to shade 5 parts. So there's our 5 parts that we're shading. So that means we have 1/5 shaded, 1/5 shaded, 1/5 shaded, 1/5, and 1/5. And if we add them all up, sorry, running out of room, getting a little sloppy. If we add up all these individual fractions that are shaded, we get 5 shaded pieces. Out of how many in total? Well, oops, that was a mistake. Not 1/5. These are all 7s. We're out of 7 pieces. My fault. The number 5 was sticking in my head. So we have 5 shaded pieces out of 7 bars. So the total number of shaded, if we add them all up individually, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 7 pieces. And that's what we learned yesterday as far as adding up the sum of the fractions. We also introduced equivalent fractions, which I'll just talk about real quickly. So if we have a fraction bar and another fraction bar, let's say that this fraction bar is cut in half. And let's say that this fraction bar is cut into fourths, to 4 pieces. So here we have 2 pieces, and here we have 4 pieces. But overall, this fraction bar is the exact same size as this fraction bar. If we were to shade 1/2 of this fraction bar, we would have 1 piece shaded out of 2, 1/2. And over here, if we were to shave 2 pieces of this fraction bar, we would have 2 pieces shaded out of 4. Now, as you can see, it's shaded all the way to the middle. So 1/2 is an equivalent fraction to 2/4 because 1 is exactly half of 2 and 2 is exactly half of 4. Just because we split them up into more pieces or smaller pieces doesn't mean it's when we get them at the end it's exactly the same. So just because I have 1 piece here, that piece is twice as big as these 2 pieces. So these 2 pieces equal this 1 piece. And I'll show you just one more just to make it a little bit easier. So this one is cut into 6 pieces. And if we shade 3 of those 6, it's equal to 3 pieces shaded out of 6. And again, it's exactly half of the bar. So these pieces are smaller than these, and these are smaller than these, but this 1 piece is the exact same amount as these 3. So all of these, 3 is exactly 6 of half, 2 is exactly half of 4, 1 is exactly half of 2, are equivalent fractions. And like I said, we just barely touched on that, so that's kind of a quick lesson of how we did it. But we'll move into that more. But that's what we mean when we say equivalent fractions.